3 times. Peter, do you love me? Yes. Well, you know, I told you back the last time we got in the boat together. Well, really 2 times back, because I took your boat out, you got in it, and we caught all those fish, and you shipped it to the other side. And I told you then to go and catch, you'll be a fisher of men. Now I'm saying, do you love me? We're out of the boat again. We had that other boat instance where you saw me walking, and you boldly jumped out to walk with me, but you sunk very quickly. And then he says to him, he says, but, and this is the way we all are. Some of you sunk in the last season. That doesn't mean God's not going to show up in this season with you. Let me tell you something. He is more determined to open your eyes than you are to see. He knows you sunk in the last season. He knows that you failed in the last season after you worked so hard. That doesn't bother him at all. Because now he's showing up and he's saying, do you love me? Yes, I love you. Then feed my sheep. I'm refining your call. Do you love me? Yes, I love you. Feed my sheep. I'm refining your call. Do you love me? By this time, Peter's saying, well, Lord, you really know. I don't know whether I do or not. I didn't do too good just about 50 days back here, because when I had a chance to stand up for you, I denied you. Are you aware that none of that bothers the Lord from the last season? None of that is bothering him to try to give you vision in this season. And then he says, if you love me, Peter, go and feed my sheep. And you feel something happen in Peter when you're reading that chapter. But then he's Peter. And it takes him about 10 minutes. And then he says, well, what about John? What are you going to do with him? And the Lord just says, what is that to you? Look for where I'm taking you. Now hear me. Here's another issue. Acts, we finally get over to Acts, thank God. And what you find happening here is they're praying and leadership. It's still this 50-day period. Lots going on in this 50 days. And we're just at day 8 of it. Now hear what I'm saying to you tonight. There's lots of things you can see in the next 42 days. There's lots of shifts you can make in the next 42 days. All this is going on during this time period. See, sometimes we forget the Bible was written in time. God's not in time, but they're acting out from time their relationship with him, just like we are. And so all of a sudden in Acts, they have to appoint a new leader, so they appoint a new leader. They cast lots for it. And then they ask him, are you going to restore the kingdom? Now, this is what we have to be careful of right now. What you're looking for, especially with this transformation thing that we're all in. Are you going to restore the kingdom? And he said, that's really not for you to fully understand right this minute. You know why? Because they thought, now let me give you the right perspective of that. They thought that he was still, they were more prone to be like Judas than what they were to be like Jesus. So they thought that he was going to do it politically, and that even after he raised from the dead, he was going to do it politically, because they couldn't get the kingdom. Now hear what I'm saying to you. He had taught it with them for 3 years. They still didn't have it. And right there he had to deal with them and say, listen people, now you're going to have to see this kingdom. You are my kingdom people. I'm not telling you to try to work up through the system to change things. I'm telling you to move from a kingdom perspective, and when you move the way I say move from the kingdom perspective, all that can change in one day. Now, hear what I'm saying to you. So their kingdom perspective had to make a shift. And then, this is where we're headed, the manifestation of the Spirit that they really didn't know much about shifted. Heaven opened up. Fire came down. They saw doves. Something happened. Everybody started speaking in a different tongue. And it appears that everybody understood everybody. Because something shifted. You could be in a meeting like that right now, and if you're basing on the last move of God, the meeting you were in, you could miss this. And this is where we're headed. Now, let's go back to Old Testament for a moment. They go through pure war addressing every god in Egypt to get out of Egypt. Some of you have been in warfare so long, it's hard for you to get out of it. Now, hear what I'm saying to you. They were under bondage. They were under the gods of the Egyptian rule. It was trying to hold them captive. The way the Egyptians worshiped was trying to stop them from worshiping. And yet, God, they cried out, and God began to address one by one. I've done a whole devotion on that. You can go read it on our website. Every God, what it meant, what it means to us. I've also got it in Future War of the Church out there if you buy materials. But in the midst of it, they break out from under that by the blood. This is where we are. And they get out and escape to head toward their future, but they don't know what they're looking for. Does that sound sort of like where we're at right now? They're not sure what they're looking for, and they're not confident in their leadership, but they are moving. So the minute they finally get out, God does something. Number one, and this is what we need to be looking for. The song changed. First major thing you see happen. This will be our most difficult year to make a transition in the way we express ourselves in worship. Because we are at the beginning of a new season. And at the beginning of every season, when you have broken out of one season, heaven comes down with a song. Now, here's the difference going into this season, and I saw it happen. Now, we were there 12 days. I saw it happen one time for 15 minutes. This shift in song was totally different than what they had experienced before. And it wasn't just Moses and the elders of the tribe singing it. Miriam had liberty because she was Moses' sister. It wasn't just family members. All of a sudden, this song from heaven came down. New song breaks those cycles. Every season has its new songs. And if you're watching out of last season's the way we sang, and we're at a good transition right now in it, and if you're just hearing the same way we heard last season and say, well, I really like the way we did that back 12 years ago, you're going to miss what's going to lead you forward in this season. And see, when a song comes down from heaven like this, it is one of the most miraculous things you